at that. Hello, everyone. Doing a quick hi. Thank you. It's nice to be um, someone's favorite Canadian man, I suppose. Hi. So nice to connect. I signed on a little early. Hey, Hannah. I signed on a little early. Hey, Lynn. Just to make sure. Hiya, Ruth. Shalom. Anna Marie. Hey there. Um, there's my Diane feeling stronger every day. Isabelle Jobin. Allô, bonjour. Ça fait plaisir de vous voir ici. There's my friend Harriet, ladies and gentlemen, our next location. So I have my Banff shirt on, but I'm not in that. Hey, Ellis, nice to see you. Sarah Goss, hi there. Hey, Ruth, hi, everybody. And it's lovely. Hey, so for all of you, you're welcome. For all of you over in the UK, I'm just, hi, Sunshine. Sunshine Susie. Sunshine Susie, that's awesome. Hey, bonjour, merci. For all of you over in the UK, I'm thinking about a bonjour Nat. Hi everyone. I'm thinking about maybe on kind of earlier on the 4th of May doing a meetup. So I fly Sunday night over to London. I'm only there for a day and a half. I'm going to Belfast, and then I'm not okay, Robin. I'm not going to get back from Ireland probably till later on the 3rd. It's Susan M. Hey Susan. Hi Beth. So hey Beth, nice to see you there. Yeah, so I thought we could try and do that. I love that. Bien, bonjour. Hey, everyone. Um, Thanks for coming along. So it's nice to see you all here. So I thought we could maybe try a meetup that day. Obviously, things have become a lot busier in. Um, well, that's what I was thinking, Ruth. It'd be fun to do a YouTube live with people. I won't have a ton of time, and I'm trying to catch up with friends when I'm there. Say I'm going to be met by a couple of friends when I get over to London here. But literally, I have one meeting with the Canadian Tourism Commission, Hélène, bonjour. And then I fly up to Belfast. So coming back from Ireland, then I'm going to stay with my good friend David down in the centre where I stayed last time, and obviously that's a big focus. But I thought if we set aside like 2 hours, I can't make it a full day, but let's plan around that. So I'll be in touch, Donna. So, ladies and gentlemen, hi, Nolan. But Lynn, in August, sorry, I'll get into our tour in a minute here. Oh, there's A&P. Hey, gentlemen. Aaron and Patrick are on board. We were chatting yesterday about this. Aaron and Patrick, meet Harriet, our next location. She's my friend in Uganda, and she's the one who helped me get this sorted. And I just put Harriet in contact with my friend Elizabeth in South America. So, Harriet, you're going to be a big help to all of us. Now, it's a little windy out here, but I am in Montreal. So let's just do a couple of quick hellos. First of all, hey, Adventure, nice to see you. Hola, hola, it's Vanessa. Oh, God, I have a great group of international friends here. What an honor. So we are up in Montreal, and I picked a specific walk today. And if by chance you haven't met me, thank you so much for being here. It's nice to see a good crowd on. Are we going skiing? Joyce, would be fun, isn't it? See, there's my Banff shirt on. So, but we are in Montreal. I'm actually up on Pine Street. Is it your first tour? Well, thank you for coming and joining me. Again, as a quick hello, most of the people who know me here knew me from a platform that was called Heygo, of course, virtual touring. Just as a quick intro, which I like to do, I have been an international tour guide for couple of decades now around the world. I travel really a lot, but I do live in the town of Banff in Banff National Park. And the neat thing is that's where I'm going to live my whole life, except I go abroad so much. And I am down here, and I say down here because I'm from further north, but I'm down here in the city of Montreal in the province of Quebec. And I have a group of 54 students from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan with me, and there's a song about that. But I wanted to come and stream a tour here in Montreal with everyone. Obviously, Canada's second biggest city. This was the largest city in Canada until really 1976, when there was some politics, a separatist movement, and a lot of money and population moved out to Toronto. Nevertheless, let me just give you a little bit of the background history. First of all, I am on Algonquin lands, or Anishinaabe lands, and people have been living here for over 10,000 years, indisputably. So I have a little bit of construction. So as a full land acknowledgement, and Valérie Plante, who is, it's not snowing, Joyce, Valérie Plante, who is the mayor of Montreal, and I think a very good person, changed the Montreal flag a number of years ago. So the flag always had the Cross of St. George, and they said the four founding nations: the French, the Scottish, the English, and the Irish. However, she has added into the middle of the flag now a white pine in acknowledgement of the Indigenous people who not only were here, but are here. It's quite a nice day. Tomorrow's going to be 21 Celsius and sunny. I can't wait. I am up the mountain a little bit, and I'm up above Crescent Street. Now, I'm going to give you a few views. I have a lot I'd like to talk about here, but obviously, oh, by the way, around me, this isn't going to be our big reveal, but around me, they had an ice storm last week. There are branches absolutely everywhere. I flew into Ottawa from Vancouver last week, and the day after, and I mean, there were 1 million people without power. So, and the big underpinning of the economy here is Hydro Quebec. Oh, there's someone running up the stairs, but I'm up above the stairs, and so I don't know how much singing I'm allowed to do on YouTube. But if you were to say, like a bird on a wire, like a night in some midnight choir. But out there is, of course, magnificent songwriter, certainly an artist I grew up on, and there is Leonard Cohen. I will get you a much better screenshot or photo of him in a little while as I wander down the hill, but he is looking with his hand on a heart up towards the mountains. So if you're up on the overlook there, you can see him. He's obviously, I was raised on him. I've raised my son on Leonard Cohen as well. I saw him live twice in my life, and when he did die a few years ago, I was really just in tears because he was the sort of person that must be eternal. So we will talk about him some more as we move along, but I want to come down and give you a bit more of a focus on what's happening down below here, because I very specifically wanted to bring you up here. I'm going to tell you about the history and the Golden Square Mile and all that. But you'll see people have got blue and yellow shirts on. Well, those are Ukrainian flags wrapped around them, and they are standing right in front of the consulate for the Russian Federation. Now, this is very interesting because we're just up the road from the consulate. Hi, Grace, nice to see you. Right up the road from the consulate for Poland as well. And so, on these apartment buildings right over here, remember, this is a very student city, right? Huge universities, both English and French, very activist kind of community here. So you see all those Ukrainian flags hanging from the windows right there. Isn't that fantastic? You got a screenshot, great. And then, as we curve around, eh bien, merci Isabelle, je sais pas si j'ai gentil, que ça, but there is the consulate of the Russian Federation. So that's Putin's little dictatorship there. It's too bad some of these branches didn't hit it. I shouldn't say that, but of course, this country, we have a lot of people in Canada with Ukrainian background. In fact, with my group from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I asked who has Ukrainian background, and half the hands went up. Like, puts it in some perspective. So, a strong connection. But there it is. There's the big Russian get together, their flag, and it's so nice to see these people out here peacefully protesting. So I'll get down a little further, and then I'll start to give you a little bit more history of the area. In fact, why don't we just start with the fact that in terms of European settlement over here, Jacques Cartier left from Saint-Malo in Brittany, sailed over into what he named the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and he sailed up the river. It's a good hill, Danny. Danny knows. I think you walked up some of this hill with me before, Danny. Daniel Wilkinson's been here on a tour with me. So sailed up the river. And how do you say where the river narrows in Algonquin? It is Quebec. And they come up to Quebec. And then they kept sailing up until they came to this island here in the river, and the rapids are so big that the ships couldn't go any further. They pulled over, and to this day they're called Les Rapides de la Chine, the China Rapids. He wasn't looking for North America. He was looking for China, the quick route through. And it's happening now that the north is opening up. Hold on, let's just have a quick little view here. It's nice to see everyone out here. Bonjour, c'est un YouTube. Un YouTube en vie. YouTube live, ouais. J'étais juste en train d'en parler d'Ukraine. C'est très bien que vous êtes ici. Ouais, c'est ça que j'expliquais, oui. Oui. Alors,
on vient tous les midis.
Vous venez tous les midis.
Tous les
They come
midis.
every afternoon, every noon.
Every noon we are here.
Yep.
And we sing, this is the Ukrainian hymn.
Yep.
And we
National
sing
anthem.
national anthem. And we sing it every noon since the beginning of the war.
Let me give it to so everyone can take a picture of it. You can take a photograph of that, everyone. So, moi, je vis en Alberta. On a beaucoup de racines oui, ukrainiennes.
Est-ce
Oui.
que vous avez des...
Moi, non, mais je suis guide. J'ai un groupe ici de Saskatoon et les moitiés, c'est ukrainien de l'origine. Ben, j'y vais.
Demain midi,
Oui,
parce qu'on est là tous les midis.
on peut.
Every
Oui,
noon.
that is, I'm going to see tomorrow. Ils s'en vont dans Maine, mais
Si
ouais,
c'est plus tard dans
ouais.
l'après-midi, ils peuvent venir chanter avec nous.
Merci, je vous félicite. Oui,
Merci.
merci. Non, merci à vous, monsieur.
You born in Montreal?
Non, Alberta. Je viens bien. Plein d'Ukrainiens. Oui. It's beautiful, but I love. Thank you. Peace. Peace. There you go. So, look at that. Um, Joyce, I wasn't speaking Russian. Wasn't that? I would love to bring those kids up here. Look at that. What a thing to see. So as we come along, yeah, listen, I have my headphones in. That's why you couldn't hear the lady very well. But they come every day at noon and they sing the Ukrainian anthem. What a brilliant thing. And these are good. These are my kind of protests. Nobody's getting hurt, but you're making a real point. So I hope they don't have to keep doing it for a long time. And here is the Polish consulate, and you'll see the European flag over there, and of course more statements. So this is why I wanted to start up here today in this area. I'm on the upper end of what is historically known as the Golden Square Mile. Now, while Montreal is the second largest French-speaking city in the world, it is obviously important to note that it's very, very bilingual or multilingual or multicultural. But this area was principally Scottish, and the Scots who came here started up the Northwest Company. That was really the glory days of the economy in this area until it was fused with the Hudson's Bay Company. And, oh, sorry, just hear them singing. Isn't that lovely? You're not, unfortunately, going to be able to hear them with my headphones through, but what a thing to share. Rosie, there are a few places where I think my signal can't pop up now, but is everyone, if just give a thumbs up, are you hearing me quite well here and seeing quite well? Now look at the trees, look at the damage. Yeah, so there's literally, John and everyone, nothing I can do about the video, although I have found that some people find this really good. Now it could be once I get down to the next main street, might pick up, but you see other people are getting it nice and clearly. So I think it's a little bit luck of the draw. So are you telling me to do that, Anna? I don't have any control when I'm out here, although it is all a little bit of a learning for me as well. Look at the new towers in the distance. This is where the skyline of Montreal is really changing and is needed to change. Well, it's interesting, Rosie. Yeah, all clear. It should. I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, a lot of us are planning on, of course, hanging out on YouTube because it makes sense. And it makes sense, and of course it's YouTube, so it's worth billions. It's not going to go away. So I just have to get past. They've got all these construction things out. Again, as we jokingly say, there's 2 seasons in Canada: winter and construction. This, by the way, there's places to rent in here. Alloué is obviously rent in French, but you see, it's 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. The half is really fun. They only talk that way in Quebec here, and the half is the half bath. So it's kind of a neat little tradition that they have here. So Greater Montreal is about 4 million people in a province of slightly under 8 million people. So that's how significant it is. It is an island with over 28 bridges. Patty, you just have to whatever you're on, what type of computer you're on. If you just quickly Google screenshot, like with a Mac, it's I think Control something 3 or something like that. So there is a way to do it, and once you do it, it's great. So this will be live afterwards on my YouTube channel. I'll upload it for a while. So lots of fun announcements to make, but none of them need to be done right now. It's just so nice to share this with everyone. Oh, thanks, Martine. Nice. So as we come on down, we're coming down by the Art Museum, the Beaux-Arts here in Montreal, and there's obviously some neat art. I thought we do this, and then we go down Crescent Street, and we talk a little bit more about, of course, Leonard Cohen and the history of this area, and also, well, there's so much. Now, many of you have done live stream tours with me here in Montreal before, but I always, if I'm just doing a one-off like today, I tend to focus up on this area or in Old Montreal. Now, do keep your eyes peeled. I might put up one more YouTube live tomorrow because I will be down in the old port of Montreal, and it's really fun to do it down there. Hi, Stephanie. So by the way, everyone, just so you know, when your chat comes up, I do see it reasonably well, and then it fades away from my screen. So sometimes I miss things if I'm obviously watching my stuff, which one has to do in this part of the world because, of course, so much of it. You see the quality of the sidewalks here. This is the freeze and thaw. I wanted to show you a piece of art. I don't know anything about the artist, but I was drawn to this one because this reminds me of the Ono people or the Yungwa people, who were the last indigenous peoples on Tierra del Fuego. They famously would paint themselves up, and I sadly haven't yet taken you all down to Tierra del Fuego, but of course I've been to Chile many, many times. I lived in Chile for nearly 2 years. But see this painting? So this was done with laser, but that kind of style, so it's not related. If this has to be the motivation for this painting or this piece of art, it simply has to be. This was their cultural version. So I worked with the Huiliche and the Chono people when I worked in southern Chile, but these people are further south, and this is where the name. Hey, Mark's here. Hi, Mark. Big hugs to you, my friend. So this was the original people who lived to the very south coast where the Beagle Channel is, down by Ushuaia, the most southerly real city in the world. And the land was called the Land of Fires because they kept fires going in their canoes. Basically, these people as a culture with these lovely paintings on their bodies was kind of a coming in age. You'd almost say like a bar mitzvah. And they would come, and it's a study of Jungianism, I think, or Jungian philosophy in my mind, because it's a bit like talking about, this is the artist, um, but it's a bit like saying the archetypes. So I think it's just a fascinating piece of art, and I'm very, very drawn to it. And now I need to read a bit more about Valerie Blas. But if that wasn't motivated, it's laser, but it's really a fabulous thing. But if that wasn't motivated by those people, then I don't know what I'm talking about, because that's just so amazing as a culture. Now, let's change subject totally for a minute. To see the stone in that gorgeous house there, that is Scotch brick. And Scotch brick was used as ballast in the ships as they would sail up the St. Lawrence. And they used it to build the grandiose houses in this richest part of Montreal, the richest part of Canada. This was the first city that had sewage, heating, all the different things. And they used to talk about previously in the poorer neighborhoods, the winter myth of Montreal. And what was the winter myth? Everyone looked forward to winter because, unlike in big cities in other places, all of the sewage would freeze up and the smells would go away. Can you imagine what life was like? But in this area, there was so much money here from the fur trade. So they would come over with this ballast, build these fabulous homes, and then they would send furs and Laurentian forests back over to Europe. That was the early trade that came back and forth. Now, this is the Museum of Fine Arts over here. Lots of neat art down around here. I feel as though I need to come up, and of all the pieces of art, this is the one I want to milk the most. So there's no halo, so it's only a cow, not a holy cow. But I think this particular piece of art is utter madness. I just can't help it. I'm going to stake my claim on this piece of art here. Now they're going to make me move over, but but look at that. Just so happens the artist is from Saskatchewan. So, oh dear, no, it's not a deer. It's a cow, Mark. Just so you know. Sorry, I got to get ahead of that one because otherwise it's going to gonna overwhelm my entire story with all of you today, which of course sometimes that can hurt the heart, as one says. Oh, look at that. So enough of the puns for the day here, and so I just want to say merci, thank you, everyone who's coming along. Oh, I love having you all here. You see, this is as interactive as it was on that other platform, and it's fun. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but the fact that I have a Zoom here, thank you for jumping in. So now I could be carrying on further up on Sherbrooke Street, but I'm not going to wander this way. But there is the Museum of Fine Arts. It's a really nice hotel, Chateau Versailles. Not too expensive. I like staying up there, but you do get a very interesting mix of fusion architecture. If I were to walk just a couple of streets over in that direction and turn left, I would be on Rue Guy. Hey, merci, Danny. Rue Guy is where Concordia University is now, but that was the original convent of the Sœurs Grises, or the Grey Nuns. It's the one order of nuns that was born here in North America. They were in charge, of course, of so much of the social services here. In fact, my son was born in a Grey Nuns hospital. That was before we nationalized healthcare. Now, why are they the Grey Nuns? Well, les Sœurs Grises in Old French means the tipsy sisters. They used to brew beer to raise money for social services. So cheers, ladies. Pretty cool thing. And then some more gorgeous behind me. Now this is some of the fancy old money. Now the reason why I'm making you stare at me is because I want to come up here and I want to frame the best shot I can of our beloved Mr. Cohen up here, because Suzanne takes your hand, she leads you to the river. You can watch the ships go by, you can spend the night beside her. Uh, Joan, I'm not making that up. I'm absolutely not. I don't make anything up, Joan. But Leonard Cohen, well, maybe some things. But look at I will get closer. I mean, there's a million screenshots. You can get a tiny bit of red. He's in the wrong place. He's in the right place for the world to see him. Crescent Street is where the cheesy Anglophones used to go out drinking and dancing. I think they still do. He was from St. Urban Street. And of course, his music is infused with this mix of religious and cultural angst that defines so much of the history. That's about it. The history of this incredible, well, fascinating city. And I have a mixed relationship with Montreal because the climate's really harsh here, and it was very segregated historically. You had the English in the west, the Italians, the Jews, the Greeks in the middle, and the French on the east. And of course, people have mixed more. It was historically an extremely affordable city. That's why it was a great place for students. But it was that whole mix of this interesting and peculiar religious world that Leonard Cohen was born into. Obviously, his family was all Jewish and Anglophone. He spoke very fluent French as well. But he was surrounded by the fact that through the 60s, when he's writing songs like Suzanne, what he's actually looking at there is this emergence of Quebec society from being extremely conservative and principally ruled by the Catholic Church in every sense. And then the Anglophone community was more Presbyterian. And then, of course, you had these other communities. And then they were moving and becoming a secular state very late compared to other places. Remember, French Canada had the highest birth rate in the Americas for about 100 years. The Revenge of the Cradle, we talked about it. So when you sit back and listen to so much of his music, it's full of religious imagery. And of course, he became a Buddhist monk for many years until his business manager spent all his money, stole all his money. He had to go back on tour, which was great news for all of us who are huge fans. And when he did go back on tour, I remember one of his interviews saying, "Well, yeah, I fill stadiums still, but then I drink 2 bottles of, I think it was Chateau Lafite." He'd drink all his profits of the best red wine. He said that was his favorite high afterwards. So it's a pretty fair way. And he did make it, of course. He had a good long life, and his son is an artist as well. Ooh, look, someone has a nice fat bike. So we were also a few streets off of the road, Côte de Neige or Snow Street, and that goes up around Le Montreal, the mountain itself, which is really just a bump. And of course, you have about 5 of them down in this area. Some guidebooks say that they were volcanoes, but they never did erupt. But really, all of Quebec, do you know that just the province of Quebec has over 1 million lakes? 85% of Quebecers live along the St. Lawrence, of course, and so the vast north, but it was all scoured clean by the last ice age and previous ice ages. Check out some of, there's just so much here. I want to go over one more street, and then we can circle around. Let me just give you one more chance. I cannot go into vertical, but I think maybe that might be the best photo you can take or screenshot of Leonard Cohen himself. And then, interestingly enough, it's closed. This, no, sorry, I got it wrong. There was the Villeneuve family, Gilles Villeneuve, Jacques Villeneuve, because the Formula One is a big deal here in Montreal. It's Cynthia. I can't give you any suggestions at all. But if it's the only one that's blurry, it could just be like your internet feed today. It could just be that. You could sign out and come back in. Yeah. And everyone, I appreciate it. I'm more than happy for people to ask questions, but obviously I can't do anything about that. Now, it could be the luck of the draw where we are here, but that's, if it stays blurry, I'll just have to sing to you some more, which just help. Maybe that's the problem. Oh, is there a bad story? Oh, maybe it's blurry for people over in the UK. Yeah, so Thanks for that. Yeah. So if it's fine for other people, then it's probably something on your end, not mine. What I don't have. So when I was on that other platform, I did have a nice number of bars, but I always reset my phone right before. I love the way people look suspiciously at me when I'm walking along with the camera. It's funny. Of all the cities that I do this in, I find the one where the people. Oh, it doesn't jump. I'm walking pretty slowly, I have to admit, but it could just be some of the stream. But the place they're friendliest to me that I've been to in all the places I've done live stream tours is actually Vancouver. And that's because in Vancouver, you have the Vancouver Film School. And so it's really normal for people to be out filming as part of their training. So it's kind of a cool thing. But I am walking on the street called Maisonneuve. And Maisonneuve was actually the founder of Montreal. So the oldest city, European city or colonial city in North America, is Quebec City, 1608, although there are people in St. John's, Newfoundland who would not agree with that. So that's fair to note. But then they sailed up further and they founded Trois-Rivières, Three Rivers, and the St. Maurice River, and then up here onto the island of Montreal. But Maisonneuve, who founded this settlement, founded it in early spring. There was still tons of snow. And as the snow started to melt, sure, Stephanie, and just keep things running. It's always good for the hours on YouTube as well, please and thank you. And so Maisonneuve made a promise to God that if the new colony didn't flood out, he would take a cross up and put it on the mountain. And we don't see it from here, but there's still a cross up on the mountain. Very simple on this side of Montreal. Everything is a hill that goes up to the mountain on this one side right up there. And of course, I don't know when I'm going to be back in the next little while, but the leaves change, of course. Gorgeous, gorgeous colors. And those checks setting. Yeah, the checking setting. I think, Emma, you know what? Once I learn a bit better, I might even do a little YouTube video on how to, on maybe some of those settings. I'm sure someone else, in fact, it's really Harriet that I will ask this pure later. Now, I might have told you, did you see on the news this morning that there are merger talks between FedEx and UPS, and the new company's going to be called FedUp. I know I've used that before. There's Le Popenché, his friends, but I want to come up here because I always have to bring everyone on to Drummond Street when I'm in this part of the city, because some of you know where I'm headed to. But again, all of the grand old mansions that belong to the wealthy people. I want to take you up to the house of Sir George Stephen, who was the first president of Bank of Montreal, and indeed he was. Did I get you? And he was the first president of Canadian Pacific Railway, and almost single-handedly found the funding for it. And where was he from? He was from Banffshire in Scotland, everyone. And so I have never stayed at the boutique hotel at 100 tonight, but I have eaten here a few times. I don't know if Casey's here. Casey, who is a regular with us, actually ate here with me before. And I did one time arrive here, and the bellman recognized me. And so took me inside. But it's pretty cool. So let me just show you this house, and then I'll go across the street so you can take a better photo. But this is what the grand old Victorian houses in 19th century Upper and Lower Canada would look like. So there he is, Scottish born. I guess it doesn't say specifically on there, Banff, but yeah, from Banffshire, the very top of Scotland, of mainland Scotland, of course. And the steps are lovely, aren't they? Oh, Nat, I am so famous. Every morning when I come out of the shower, I'm recognized by a guy in the mirror. So let me just come across the street here. And that's let's just turn around for a second and give you a nicer view right there. Infamous. Yeah. Whoops. So that was one person's home. It is over the top on the inside as well. Beth, it's lovely to have you here, by the way. Yeah, so nice for everyone. So let's keep wandering down. I'll probably make this about a 45-minute visit today. Nice to have such a big crowd on board. Yeah, well, some of the grand old architecture. This was the money of British North America. It was all based in around Montreal here, and this. And in fact, when the fur trade went out west, les voyageurs, who were generally French speaking, would canoe up. They were the ones who would go out to the forts, and they met Indigenous women. And of course, that was the birth of the Métis. Yes, they were the birth of the Métis Nation. But the men had to come back to Montreal in order to get paid. So that's why the Métis culture out in the prairies really came out. And I will be in Winnipeg in the middle of May, and I can't. Wait to take you all back and live stream polar bears there again. That'll be a really fun one. Yeah, we have the 1,000 subscribers that we need, but I still need like 2,500 hours watched. And again, I don't want to ask anything of you except for, if you're happy to, in the description, I have the link, of course, for tipping. And if you're capable or able to, it's much appreciated. But also, if you're able just to pass around. I mean, now that I'm over that kind of 1,000 subscribers, it would be fun to get it up to, I don't know, 200,000. Yeah, the polar bears will be great. So, and now that I've tested out, I sort of know. So we're just getting up here now, ladies and gentlemen, to St. Catherine Street. This is over 20 kilometers long, right through the middle of the city. It's the main shopping street, for better and for worse. I'm going to take you over towards Dorchester Square. And when you walk down the street, it's so much fun because you hear a pretty equal mix of both French and English spoken out here, but lots of other languages as well. And you do know people are absolutely hockey crazy everywhere across this country. And up here, very specifically, thanks, Margaret. Oh, sorry. So the Montreal Canadiens have won the Stanley Cup more than any other team, but they didn't qualify. And the Calgary Flames didn't qualify either this year. So if anyone asks, I'm an Oilers fan. By the way, you need a PhD to be able to park a car in Montreal. They literally have so many rules because of snow clearance and all that sort of thing mixed in between. So it is a very, very complicated place in order to drive, and no right turns on a red light here, which you can do in just about every other city in North America because they famously are kind of random drivers. And listen, you're not allowed to tell anyone this, okay? And really keep it yourselves because this is Victoria's secret, okay? Shh. I don't know why, if it's such a secret, that she put the signs out front. Yeah, the PhD. Well, these particular ones are close, but a lot of places the parking meters are up against the buildings, and they're up against the buildings so that the plows can get out and clear the sidewalks and clear the roads. They average nearly 2 meters of snow every winter here in Montreal, and then they take the snow down by the river and they clean it to get the salt out of it, and then they pour it back in the river. Thank you, Hannah. I can't quite read that, but Hannah's just posted something that I'm sure is more helpful than I could be. Now that is a big, big vehicle. I'm just crossing the street, and of course everyone's well behaved here. They're not really. But yeah, traditionally we're in what was the Royal Square Mile, but the actual downtown, the old town, is further down. So let me see. I can see how many of you are on here. Yes, right now I'm showing 99. I don't know if it's how 100% accurate it is, but it bounces up and down. I do get a report at the end, and it's very, very good for people to stay the full length of a tour. Apparently, these are all the analytics on YouTube that, of course, I know nothing about. But I will see it'll say like the average watching is 17 minutes, and it means probably normal people have come to watch a tour, stay for the whole thing, but other people, of course, can hop in and out. Now, what we'll move towards, if you're just interested in the technical side, I had a great chat actually with Vanessa and Lima today, and we were talking about Patreon accounts, and Finn is going to set one up, by the way. And for those of you who don't like meat, you don't want to focus on this too much, but I'm over by Reuben's, and these are briskets here. This is classic Montreal food, smoked meat sandwich. Hey, Chloe, nice to see you. This is, and Reuben's is not the most famous, but it's a big chain. And these came over with Romanian Jews, and it's steamed. And I gotta say, it's yummy. And because my buddies, there's Reuben's down behind me there, and because my buddies from New York are here, great debate whether bagels come from Montreal or New York, and which are better. I don't actually kind of like either. Let's do it. Well, what we'll do is we'll set up a Patreon account, but in the meantime, it's so nice that basically I'm able to stream the same way I did it in the past. So let's just curve around to, we're going to head over by Dorchester here, everyone. Now, The next big street over is now called René Lévesque, but it was Dorchester Street. But Dorchester Square tells you so much of the story of the heart and soul of Montreal. Now, you see, Montreal has a very low population density. It's a big spread out area. So even though it's a big city, on the island, you just have kind of 1.5 million people of the greater 4 million in the area. So that's why you never have huge crowds, except for the city has more festivals than any other city in North America. And they will close down a main street at any time they want just to have a festival. It's part of the fun of Montreal. Oh, there's a New York plate heading out. And of course, you're only 45 minutes from the border with the United States here when you go straight south. You end up in the Green Mountain State, Vermont, which of course was the 14th state. 13 declared independence in 1776. Why did the French Canada not side with the American independence movement? Well, in 1763, when Montreal surrendered to the British, they signed a deal allowing them to keep their language and religion here. And so that is the real reason why Quebec stayed in as part of, what became Canada, Upper and Lower Canada. But down there, Vermont has the option, technically, of leaving the U.S. every 4 years. It was the 14th state to come in, so that's an interesting bit of history. Some of you joined me last year for some virtual tours down there. I just love this particular fountain here with the woodpecker on the side of it. Oh, I can smell the perfume of Canada, by the way, which is cannabis, of course. We all say Canada was the first country in the world. It is lunchtime. Hey, Hey, Jolene, hi there. You? Nice to see you. Terry and Jolene are dear, dear friends of ours in Wisconsin. So Jolene, you must be teaching. Don't you have that affiliated woodpecker on the side? I tried to get a job as a woodpecker. I just felt like I was banging my head against a tree. But it was pretty painful. But it's so nice to have you here. Isn't it fun having everybody along? Now these pillars here are testament to the snow removal, but you have lots of. But that monument in the middle of the square is actually a monument to Canada's first overseas battle, and that was the Boer War. Of course, the nascent Canadian government, when Canada was created in 1867 as a way, really concurrent with the United States purchasing Alaska from Russia. The Upper and Lower Canada, this was Lower Canada, the lower reaches of the St. Lawrence River, come together and, of course, form this country. And so much of this, the deal was signed in Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island, but really, Montreal almost would have been the capital, and then they picked a little by-town, and that was Ottawa because it was between the two Canadas. But you always talk about this interesting dialectic that we have in this country, the historic two solitudes, which is both the English and French historically, although of course the Canadian mosaic and story is so much more complicated than that. But right out here, on this plinth up here, is Wilfrid Laurier, the second Prime Minister of Canada, the first Francophone Prime Minister. And the other one in the distance was John A. Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada. But people here decided to pull him down, so it's just the monument where he stood. He's not there anymore. They kept chopping his head off, and that is because the more this country is coming to terms with the fact that there was not a passive but an active genocide against Indigenous people. John A. Macdonald was on record supporting the actual wiping out of Indigenous populations. So some people get really upset about tearing down statues. I always address this one, though. I think it's really important because at the end of World War II, were you happy they tore down statues of Hitler? I'd say yes. So really people are upset about tearing down statues of people they like. Because I still know the history of John A. Macdonald. I don't have to see him standing there. Our AMP leading. AMP, big hugs to both of you. We'll just keep playing each other's YouTubes all the time. But there's Laurier behind me. But I want to take you over. I guess I'm not going to walk through there anymore. Goodness me. I do like this bus stop over here. Well, Joanna, there's lots. I remember, I don't know if you were with me at the very beginning. Let me try and find a flag of Montreal, because, of course, putting the white pine in the middle of the flag is part of that process of both reconciliation and acknowledgement. Great. Oh, you're just waving to the. How are you guys? Thanks, Jen. Oh, it's isn't it funny how even emojis take a little bit of managing? So, I know, guys. So for anyone who happens to be new here, gents, I know we can't really put in links, but maybe the name of your YouTube channel. When the guys go and do one live, we can put it out on some of my social media. Isn't this kind of fun up here to see? It's actually an advertisement though for like a loyalty program, but it's kind of interesting to see. But this building now, for all the British on board, there's flags there. I can't quite get to it. But this, by the way, is the Basilica here, and up top is a remake of Canada's best ever hockey team, let's say. But I want to take you over to the Sun Life building, and if you happen to be British here, during World War II, the ability for Britain to borrow money, which of course is incredibly nice. Sorry about the wind, everyone. I'll put my hood up over my head. But the ability for the British to borrow money was wedged against, of course, their central bank. Oh, great, thank you. And so, very quietly, silently, they shipped over the underpinning, the economic underpinning of the British economy, and they hid it under this building here. So, pretty fascinating bit of history right here. Yeah. So, it's a fascinating thing. And then, out where I live, Hart Mountain, which is just about 20 minutes from Banff, it's not in the national park, they started to burrow a hole in the side of that mountain in case Montreal were attacked, and they would have had to move everything further west. And then they expanded that out and made it a safety deposit area during the Cold War, although it was never used. Yeah, nice to see. It's interesting. It's like discussing Canadian history. And today, of course, we saw a bit of the Ukrainian connection. By discussing Canadian history, I think it's really more the mosaic of people who have come and gone through the society. Sorry, I look kind of silly with my hat up, but I was trying to get out of the wind, but I'm sheltered by the big building now. So I know Canada is a very amorphous concept, and to each person their Canada experience. Of course, where I live, like tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'm flying first flight of the morning. My kid, by the way, for those who are interested, is flying in about 5 hours. He'll be leaving from Australia to start his 16-hour journey up to Vancouver, and then of course an hour 20. But for me, it's still a 5 hour, well, 4 hour, 40-minute flight from here just into Calgary, and then I drive home. And we're still kind of in the middle of the country. Like, that's how vast this place is. This, by the way, and I think some of you will love this particular one. There's the Fairmont. It's the least attractive of the big Fairmont hotels, I think, indisputably. But that was where John Lennon and Yoko Ono did their lying down in bed for peace. So it was in there that they did that. And it's a very, very peaceful city. I mean, the province of Quebec has had these separatist movement on and off, but one time that turned violent, and the people of Quebec just stepped away from it and said, we will make our own political decisions, and we have every right to do that, but we're not going to do it violently. So I think that's really important. One huge difference in Canada and the US is the US, of course, has millions of banks, or thousands. We don't. They have about 6, and this is the 6th one. That's now really the one that's based in Quebec. And over on the right there is the Business Development Bank of Canada. I did do a TikTok this morning when I was waiting. See, my group actually went out with a licensed local guide on the bus this morning. And so I actually had a little bit of free time. And I felt like I needed to make a TikTok because I'm going to be in Belfast in just a few days up there, of course, in Ireland. And because President Joe Biden's over there, there's been 25 years of peace overall in the North. And whatever one's politics are, thanks, Ruth, whatever one's politics are, boy, oh boy, peace is a lot better than violence. And I'm a huge, huge, huge believer in that. And I'm sure that comes a little bit from my Canadian roots as well, because, of course, Lester B. Pearson was the one who started the UN peacekeeping. And then it was Jean Chrétien who used to promise peacekeepers, but didn't actually put any money or any organization behind it. I do not sing and dance on TikTok. No. But that's a good idea. The TikTok is kind of fun. I only did it because my web designer said if I'm in travel, I have to have it. But I actually have fun with it. But some of you will be a little bored of my TikTok in May because we have elections in my province. Oh, is that right, Paul? Do you know, Paul, I almost messaged you this morning, but I was just catching up on the news. So, now listen, ladies and gentlemen, we've come up to about 45 minutes. So let me just open this up for a little bit, a little bit of Q&A. Tell you what, I'm going to put up a YouTube live tomorrow. This is where it would be nice to have a better calendar with my friends, because I don't want to overlap with my friends, but I'll put one up because I'll be down in the old port. Seelan, this is great to know. Really, really appreciate it. So doesn't know you can click. This is so good. And if anybody wants to put out some instructions or something and even send them to me, it would be lovely. And then I'd be happy to try and explain it as best I can because, as I say, if it wasn't for my friend Harriet there in Uganda, I wouldn't even be able to do this part of it right now. Um, so I do want to show you just a little bit more of this lovely architecture. The one other thing, well, a million other things I didn't talk about, but here in Montreal, you have the famous underground city. So they hosted the World Exposition in 1967, and they dug out a subway system, a metropolitan system, and they took the land, they took that, and they actually created an island out in the St. Lawrence where there's an amusement park today. But they connected the trains with all the shopping centers, and you have the largest underground city in North America here. And because of the harsh climate, you can actually go down underground. It's just really a massive shopping area. Like, it's not that it's that exciting, but it's a pretty neat thing to see. So, on that fine note, I want to say to everyone, thank you so much. Peace and love you. The dots will be there somewhere. It takes a bit of learning, but thank you, everyone, who is sticking with us and learning. Thank you for anyone who can go in and tip. But at this point, I just want to make sure we're all engaged and working to a future. It was nice to see over 100 people here for quite a long time too. So, no, but thank you all. And maybe we'll actually have more and more followers quicker this way. Who knows? Eh? But you're very welcome. And anyone who really was new here, I'm super easy to follow. And very soon, I have so many friends who are excellent guides. So it's not just about me. You're going to see my son on this channel, but it's going to be about all of us. And I'll let people post things up. And I'm trying to get a database of people's names. So there's lots of attention. You're welcome, Diane. So we'll do a lot of promoting, cross promoting, and staying together and hugging. Thanks, Andy. So, hey, merci, Alain, bonjour. Yeah, Robin. So, hey, ANP, Aaron and Patrick, do well. The minute, hi, Gina, you're welcome. It is good. Was that Gina? Gina, nice to see that. But Aaron and Patrick, as soon as you guys put a date up, then please send it to me or just put it in the camper van group so that we don't, cross over and then support you. McGill University, I'm waiting for that name to be changed too. That's up in the distance there. Oh, it's my pleasure to make you day. And please feel free to have a look back in some of our other videos. Now, for some people who get a little surprised by this, when it ends, it really ends just boom. So I'm going to touch this dot here, which gets ready to go. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Well, let me, just as I stop streaming, once again, just like I did the other day, I'm going to give you the winning lottery numbers for the lottery that's starting tonight, okay? So the numbers are going to be